everybody, and welcome back to the Little Miss Funeral YouTube channel. Every single time I sit down to film is when my dog decides to start to eat or play with a toy or chew a bone. So if you ever hear weird background noise, that's Lindy Ruff basically wanting to make his presence known. Second, I just wanted to say that the reason why I'm wearing this t-shirt is because I just got done volunteering at a meat raffle at a local church in my community, and I had this idea for this video, so I just wanted to come home and film it right away, and I didn't really change, so sorry. Anyway, a lot of times I get questions asking me how I became a funeral director and different steps that I had to make, so I thought it would be a fun idea for a video to basically tell you all what I have done to become a licensed funeral director. Now, one thing that I do want to say is, I know I've said this in previous videos, but I am a licensed funeral director in New York State, which basically means that I can only be a funeral director in New York State. If I'm going to go to neighboring states, my license is useless. Also, something very interesting about being licensed in New York State is that you have a dual license. So basically what that means is I am both a licensed funeral director and a licensed embalmer. It doesn't mean that you have to practice both ends of the spectrum, but it means that you can legally do both ends of the spectrum. Now, I've known that I wanted to be a funeral director since a very young age. So right when I graduated high school, when I was 18, I applied and was accepted to Mortuary school. I went to school right outside of Boston, Massachusetts. At the time, my school was called the New England Institute at Mount Ida College. It was about 9 years ago, however, that I went to college, so I do believe that the program has since changed their name, but the program is still there. It's awesome. I had a great experience with college and with everything that I was able to learn and have hands-on experience with, and I will put the link for my mortuary college in the description box below. Now, the very first step that I had to do was apply to mortuary school. In New York, I only needed to have an associate's degree in funeral service. Yes, my degree is literally in funeral service. So basically, I went to school, graduated, and then I came back home to New York. After you graduate with your degree, you can then sit for your national board exam. So my school had to release me in order to sit for the board exam, and it's a two-part test. One part of it is in sciences, which is basically going to be your anatomy, your pathology, your chemistry, different things like that. And then you have your arts section, which is going to be more of like your funeral directing, restorative art. So the exam really does try to split it up in two because you are studying so much material for one test that they try to make it a little bit easier for you by splitting it into the arts section and then the science section. Once you pass both sections of those national board exams, you then can begin your 1-year apprenticeship, which you have to do under a licensed funeral firm and director. New York gives you a list of different things that they want you to practice, so they don't want you just stuck in the prep room, or they don't want you just stuck in the arrangement room. They would prefer you to be well-rounded since your license is a dual license. Now, when you're almost done with your 1-year apprenticeship, you can then sit for a New York State law exam, and basically that's going to be in public health law. And I had to drive to Albany to take this test. For my national board exams, I was able to do those electronically, so I went to a testing center that was within my town and my community, and I was able to sit down, schedule that, and take those exams. And it's super nice that the national board exam can be done electronically because they are very difficult. I studied for months in order to pass these exams. So because a lot of people don't pass certain aspects of it the first time around, it's nice that you can schedule them and you can just go to a testing center and take them. The New York State law exam, however, you do have to go to Albany, which is where the Bureau of Funeral Directing is, and you actually have to sit down in a classroom setting and take like a handwritten test. That law exam they only offer a couple of times throughout the year. So once again, to recap, you have to have an associate degree in funeral service, you have to take your national board exam in both the science and the arts section, you have to complete a 1-year apprenticeship under a licensed funeral firm and funeral director, and then you have to take your New York State law exam. Now, depending on what state you live in, the requirements are going to be different. I know that a lot of states do not have dual licensing. So basically, you can choose if you want to be a funeral funeral director or if you want to be an embalmer. That way you can really focus your talents and focus your education on those specific things. I'll also put a link in the description box for the National Funeral Directors Association website. They have awesome resources there where they list all of the states, and you can kind of go to those websites and see the different requirements. And I encourage anybody out there who's interested in becoming a funeral director to do your research on it. There's a local funeral home within your community that you could ask certain questions to, maybe a funeral director that you could sit down and interview, find out what their day-to-day life is like, find out what you have to do within your state in order to become licensed. There's definitely not a lot of jobs out there like this one. I hope that you all enjoyed this video. If you did, you can always give it a thumbs up, and also don't forget to hit the subscribe button below so you don't miss any videos that I put out in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.